Superstar. One night we were having cage matches, and we had we went for 1 hour all the way around, and it was a draw. I believe it was one of the most vicious matches that I've ever had in my life with the Superstar. So one night in Greenville, an incident that I can really remember was that he had slammed me into the cage so hard that I'd actually ruptured a vein in my head, in the side of my head, and I was bleeding so profusely. And we're only 20 minutes into a match, and I had decided that I'm going to take this guy. I believe the time limit, if I'm not mistaken, on this match was about a 90-minute. I think we came back in 90 minutes in the cage, and it's 20 minutes into the match. And I decided I'm going to take this guy to the limit, all the way to the limit. This thing could have lasted 90 minutes. So I'm bleeding so profusely that they can't stop it. The referee, Tommy, what was that boy's name, guys? Tommy Young. Tommy Young was the referee down there. And Tommy was panicking, almost turned white. He said, "Jack, you're bleeding so bad, I'm going to have to stop the match." I said, "If you stop this match," I said, "I'll bust you up." I said, "Don't you for 1 minute." The referee had the authority to stop the matches now when he wanted to. I said, "If you stop this match, I'm going to bust your chops." And because there was no disqualification, so if I'd have knocked him out, it wouldn't have made any difference because there'd just been me and the Superstar left in the ring there. So what does a Superstar do to prolong my life? I mean, blood is just firing out of my head. I'm bleeding every time my heart beats. He takes that mask, goes around, puts me in a front face lock, and pushes his mask against the bleeding artery in my head and cauterized it and held me there till the bleeding stopped. Till the bleeding stopped. And then commenced to whooping on me some more. And kept on. And when the bleeding would start back again, he would push his mask against my head and stop the bleeding and said, "I ain't letting you out of this. You're not getting out of this so easy," he said to me in my ear. "You're not going to cop out of this and stop this match because you're bleeding." I'm going to tell you something right now. I tell you what, I don't know. But it was a rough time there. He just pulled up and stopped that bleeding right there, and the match continued on. And I don't even remember who won that match, but it was one of the roughest times I ever had in my life. And I want to say Bill Eadie, Superstar. Can I say Bill Eadie? Does everybody know his name, Bill Eadie? The whole world knows that now. I knew that then. In West Virginia, played football at West Virginia, one of the greatest athletes of all time. I want to say thank you. But it's just lucky you did that because I was fixing to bust you up real bad. You was fixing to get hurt real bad anyway, you know. So just one of the little stories in Greenville. And Greenville used to be one of my most favorite towns because, you know, they used to bring in Greenville, the people in the prison used to bring all the prisoners down. They had a certain area they set the prisoners. Wrestling was so popular. I bet y'all didn't know this. But they used to bring probably 15 to 20, maybe 25 prisoners and had a section cut off for them. If they was on good behavior, they'd bring them to the matches. Yeah, and that's how popular wrestling was back in those days. And the Mid-Atlantic days were just great, great days, guys, really were.
You told us one time when you were doing the interview for the Mid-Atlantic Gateway website about the series of matches that you had with Bill Eadie, Superstar, in the cage, and how much weight you guys lost that summer because of the 1 hour time limits and all that. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Well, it was just, I mean, Bill Eadie was such a great athlete. First of all, I was never in the condition. I never was a 1 hour man. I mean, I was a short match guy, and I never was a real 1 hour guy. Could do a 1 hour. I never conditioned myself that way because of the size. I mean, just the physics of my body. Eadie was a lot better shape than me. So here we go. We go to these cage matches, and the promotion said we're going to book these cage matches all the way around, and I disagreed with them. I said, I don't really like this. I said, I can take him out in 15 minutes. They said, well, we don't know if you can do that or not. I said, well, I believe I can. Well, it wound up being a little bit heavier chore than I thought it was to do. You know, I probably could have took him out early, but I got myself tired, got wore out there, and just had to survive. And some of the matches is exactly what happened. And with Bill Eadie, the first series of 1 hour matches was just a battle of trying to survive, trying to make it through. Just you know, and it was kind of give and take, and whoever survived the first hour. And I'll be danged, after the first 1 hours were a draw, there was no real clear-cut victor, is that George Scott, who was the booker at the time, And Jimmy Crockett had a meeting in the office there and said, well, we can't decide this. And there was such great crowd appeal, and I believe there were sellouts everywhere they went. I may be mistaken about that, but I believe they were sold out everywhere, that we're going to bring it back for a 90-minute time limit. I didn't like an hour, much less 90 minutes in the ring. You had a hard time keeping me in there 15 minutes. So I really, really didn't like this, you know. So if I couldn't whoop him in 1 hour, I don't know why. I'll see if I could whoop him in 90 minutes. But so 90 minutes we went. And I bet my paycheck is something that nobody knows to this day. I told George Scott, I said, I'm going to tell you something. There is no way that this is going to draw the people back, because you normally in a cage match that lasts about 15, 20 minutes, and there's an end to these things because guys are cut up and bruised up and battered so bad. Not 60 minutes. Nobody's at that time had ever gone 60 minutes in the cage that, to my know about. It's even way back to the 30s. I'd never heard of anybody doing an hour in a cage. Have you guys ever heard of anybody doing that? Much less going 90 minutes, and it was done 5 or 6 times. So I told George Scott, and it was a considerable amount of money. I said, I will bet you my last paycheck, week's paycheck, which was considerable, against this paycheck, that it doesn't draw, that it doesn't outdraw the other one. I said, oh, he said, you feel that strongly about it? I said, if it doesn't draw, you give me last week's paycheck's amount, and if it does draw, you won my paycheck for the week. How about that? He said, I'll take that bet. The booker took that bet. Now, we're talking about lots of money, guys. We're talking about lots of money. So here we go. Well, I'll be danged, I don't know where the first one that was, Greensboro or Greenville for 90 minutes. I really can't recall where the next one was. I'm out there looking through the curtains, and the place is filling up, and the place is filling up, and the balcony's filling up, and the ringside's filling up, and they lined up down the street outside, down the corner, sold out, and it starts raining, and they're standing in the rain to see it. Well, that's one I done lost, one paycheck I done lost, so I'm doing this match for nothing. And I got to go 90 minutes with the Wild Man, you know? So I ain't really fired up this night. I'm just going to hoping that I'll make it through this without dying for nothing, because that's what it's going to be, you know? So I made it through that 90 minutes. I almost died. Lost about 15 pounds that night. My pants is about dragging, my drawers are about to fall off my knees. And so the next town, to make a long story short, 5 matches later, every one of them outdrew the other one. There was standing people, standing only crowds. If it was raining, they were standing. So come payday, I done work a week, a complete week, and I didn't even go to the office. I was so ashamed, because I knew I didn't have nothing coming, because George Scott called me on the phone and said, well, it's going to be a sad week for you because you didn't make no money this week. And we done drew probably 7 sellouts. I said, well, I guess I better go have a drink or something, because that's about all I'm going to wind up getting. Well, Jimmy Crockett, he still wound up giving me my check, and it was about double what it was. They were pretty good guys, so he didn't call the bet in, thank God, because I was pretty bunged up, because that was the match that I'd got hurt so bad. It was a piece of wire. Everybody thinks the blood's not real. It never in my life, in any stretch of the imagination, was I ever involved in anything where there was any kind of fake blood used, because anything that come out of, take a look at this noggin, take a look at this head, take a look at this thing. I mean, I used to be a pretty good looking guy at one time. You take a good look at this face, but after Wahoo McDaniels and Bill Eadie and Superstar and Paul Jones, a little creep, beating on my face for about 10 years, you'd be looking pretty bad too. By golly.